All right, here we go. Well, Toreros, far and near and far. It is the edge of week 14, if you can possibly believe it. It is Tuesday, November 30th, 2021, and I hope you are doing very well. Hope you're in good spirits. Hope you're in a good mood. I hope you're feeling great about yourselves, about where you are in your review process, and all of that stuff. I hope you, for those of you who celebrated Thanksgiving, I hope you had a great time. Hope you took some time off. Hope you kind of recharged your batteries, got rejuvenated for the final push. Which is final push is due on the 17th of December, so that's 3 weeks hence. And I really don't need to remind you, do I? But I kind of tend to repeat myself, so there you go. Yeah, so if you took time off, I hope you did. I hope you got recharged. I hope you feel good about things. I have to apologize up front because some of you had already submitted the second draft of your review, which for the rest of you, it's due today at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Don't be late. Yeah, so some of you submitted your second draft. And I got through some of them, but I didn't get through all of them. And I do apologize for that. I took off, frankly, I took off 5 or 6 days last week. I've been going pretty hard at this since the middle of July. So I was just kind of feeling a little burned out. And I said, I'm just going to take some R&R time, take some me time. And just kind of put things aside. But rest assured, I am back on the job, and I've got a couple more some of your drafts I'm working through, the ones that have been submitted before. So I'm working through those, about halfway through each of them. Yeah, I think I'm in review process for 2. Anyway, be that as it may. Yeah, so things are pretty good. I think you're in a good place. Again, so make sure you're submitting your second draft to me for the sake of accountabilities, and if I need to intervene, I certainly will. A couple, not to harp on this, but I feel like I'm gonna have to harp on it. So here's this is the 7th edition of the APA publication manual, to which you need to be adhering. Now, on drafts, I haven't been as strict about, you're not following the formatting, but for for your final lit review for this class, right? The lit review for this class, you do need to adhere, pretty strictly to the APA guidelines. And mostly it involves let me back up a little bit. Now there's in the manual, the authors of this tome talk about formatting for professional papers and formatting for student papers. You don't have to worry about the professional paper because that's mostly geared towards people who are submitting manuscripts for publication. So you just need to adhere to the student version of formatting, and mostly that involves your title page, your pagination, headings, spacing, in text citations, and your reference list. Okay, plus the writing conventions for punctuation and capitalization and using italics and things of that nature. So, and by the way, so when you write et al, it's et al period. There's no comma after. Okay, that's what it says here. So make sure you're no matter what anybody tells you, the APA manual knows all, it sees all, just like the guide from Part A to graduation that knows all, it sees all. Yeah, so that's I think that's about it on enough harping on the APA getting your draft into me for accountability, and final lit review due on the 17th of December, which is a Friday. And as I am, as I'm prone to remind you over and over and over again, to shut the hell up, Sheldon. You're making us nuts. This is the lit review. Remember, is your point of departure, and it is also your the basis, the foundation of your part A, right? So that's we're doing killing two birds with one stone here. Not that I'm not a proponent of killing birds, but just a phrase. So that being said, this is as you're telling us the story, telling us what you're finding in the literature, your areas of scholarly expertise, which this is the foundation thereof. You are telling us the story, but you're also pointing out the gaps in the research, which then will, so you will, that'll sort of become the aim and objectives of your dissertation, is to fill some of those gaps, to, whether it's a methodological gap or whether it's a, whatever gap you have found, this will be sort of the basis of your dissertation. And from which your research questions come, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is, like I say, for this course, you've got the 20 to 25 page lit review is due on the 17th. But then you are going to, when you get to 610, those of you who are moving on to 610, you'll be revisiting your lit review, pretty much over and over again. As you work on your methodology, as you work on the introduction, you'll be back to your lit review, guaranteed. And so when you get to the, it'll be pretty much as it's going to be when you do your dissertation proposal. Okay. And it's not to say that when you do your dissertation, you won't be adding, finessing it maybe a little bit or what have you. But I mean, for the most part, this lit review then is the point of departure for your dissertation, for the dissertation proposal itself. So anyway, enough about that. I don't really have any musings or insights or observations to give you today, but I do want to share some interesting little tidbits that I've been thinking about, ways of, getting away from myself and letting other people, the influence of others, kind of come to the fore, I guess you want to call it that. So let me share my screen and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I hope this works. I don't know, but it might. Okay, let's see here. Not that. I want to share that. Okay. I've been having a hard time with my screen sharing function today, so I'm going to leave it as is. I'm not going to try to do the slideshow. It just hasn't been working very well today. And this is actually, I'll tell you, this is my sixth attempt at my weekly video. So for this week. So let me see what I can do here. Okay, let's move up here. So okay, so one of my great discoveries in my life is the work of Richard Feynman, who is a Nobel. I don't know if you know who Richard Feynman is, but he's a Nobel Prize winning physicist in the field of quantum mechanics, and he is superb. He is wise beyond all wisdom. I mean, he wasn't just a brilliant physicist, but he had such a unique perspective on the world and on the world of research and the world of science and the world of sort of human nature. So I thought it would be interesting to share some of his wisdom with you. Now, most of it, because he is a physicist, that's all about bench science. But you've got to remember that what you're doing, what you're about to embark on, is social science, and it's the scientific method applied to human behavior, or the study of human behavior. So the same principles, the same scientific methodologies apply, even if you're doing social science or if you're doing bench science. The same logic, you follow the same sort of logical thread from start to beginning, from beginning to end. It starts with your theories that you're going to be testing, and your methods and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try something, because I think hopefully I can. Hopefully this will work. I have a video that I downloaded from YouTube. I don't know if it's possible for you to watch a video inside of a video. If that's not possible, then since you'll have the PowerPoints, you'll be able to just click on and look at this yourself. But I think it's a really, really cool little video, and it gives you something to think about. I'm not going to give you a preamble. I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to let you watch it and kind of come to your own conclusions as it relates to lit review, as it relates to research, as it relates to science about human nature and things of that nature. So I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, so hang on. Oh, look at that. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you can see this. If not, this is going to be
science to give all the answers to the wonderful questions about what we are, where we're going, what the meaning of the universe, and so on. Then I think you can easily become the solution and then look for some mystic answers. Explore and try and find out. People say to me, physics. So be it. Very nice. If it turns out it's like an onion with millions of layers, and we just sick and tired of picking the layers, then that's the way it is. Whatever way it comes out, its nature is there, and she's going to come out the way she is. Therefore, when we go to investigate, we shouldn't pre-decide what it is we're trying to do. We should find out more about it. And so altogether, I can't believe the special stories that we read about our relationship with the universe, because they seem to be
okay. All right. Now let's see if we can get back to where we were here. Oops. Okay. So that was, hopefully I'll have to go back and check, but hopefully you were able to see that. Again, if you weren't able to if you weren't able to, for some reason, if there was a glitch in the technology, at least you'll have the PowerPoint. You can go and look at it. But I thought what's really interesting to me is a lot of the things that he said, a lot of his quotes, and these are all in this PowerPoint slide. It's quotes that I thought apropos to where you are in your academic journey. And so I want to start out with this first quote. It says, "The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool." And I think what that tells us is that you don't know all the answers. And so your academic journey takes you through a series of questions and answers. And you can't have any preconceived notions about what the answers are to your questions. You have to go discover for yourself what those answers may be. Okay, so you can think, this is the answer to the question. This is, I know why some phenomenon is happening, but we all do this, and we're all deluding ourselves if we if we do that. We think, we fool ourselves into believing that the answer is patently obvious, when in fact the answer is never patently obvious. So that's the first quote. Second quote is, he says, "I learned very early the difference between knowing the name of something and knowing something." So you can say, "Oh, that's a car," but what is a car? What is the essence of that car? What is it? What is a car? What does it mean? What do you know about the car? Okay. Or, if you take it to a theoretical position, someone's theoretical position, you can name what the theory is, but, without exploring, without delving into and really getting into the theory and pulling it apart, you don't really know what the theory is. So you know what the name of the theory is, but without study, without reflection, without really getting into it and trying to understand what the theory is, you won't know anything about that theory or the car or whatever it is that you have a name to or name for. Okay. If you thought that science was certain, well, that is just an error on your part. And when I say it's not just you, it's me as well, and all of mankind. Okay, all human beings. That's the great thing about science. It's a great thing about social science, bench science, science writ large, is that there's nothing certain. The theory, that what you're reading about in your the literature you're reading, well, that's part of your criticism of the literature, is that there are uncertainties, and you're pointing out what those uncertainties are. So it's just, it's if you think, when you read something and you say, aha, this is the way the phenomenon is, this is the way X, Y, and Z, X is Y, Z, and Z is, well, based on some research methodology, well, you can't necessarily be, even if the methodology is incredibly tight, and that there's no bias, you can only tell, when it comes to significance, the significance of the level of something, you can only be 99.9% sure of something. Okay, in the science, using, even when you do the scientific method applied to social science research, you can only be 99.9%. That means you cannot be 100% certain of anything, even if it's like you can couch it and say, well, I'm pretty sure about this or that, but you're not 100% certain, and that's unfortunately, that's where we live when we're doing studies. Okay. Um, let's see. Religion is a culture of faith. Science is a culture of doubt. And I'm not a religious person, and maybe, I don't know on the spectrum where you fall in terms of religion, but you know, religion is based on faith, faith in a higher power, faith in a God, whatever, however you want to couch it. Okay. So there's faith, you can't necessarily see religion. You believe, you have faith in God, you have faith that your life is predetermined and all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, with science, science is a culture of doubt. We question everything. We like I just said in the last, from the last quote, we're not certain about anything. So we have our whole milieu is grounded in doubt, and you kind of have to be that way. There's no certainties in science. So, and that's, and that's fine. That's part of the joy of finding something out. It's you'll find something out, but then you have to think that maybe you're not, the answers you come up with may not in fact be the right answers. So there's always this doubt, and it's the doubt that drives you forward in your academic journey, in your scholarship. It's like, I learned something from doing this study, but I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure about the findings. So I'm going to have to do more research. I have to do more studies to see if, to prove my doubt, to assuage my doubt. So I find this, which the next quote kind of ties in here. Scientists are explorers, philosophers are tourists. Okay, so think about the difference between an explorer and a tourist. An explorer really, a tourist kind of walks around and goes, oh, this is really nice. No, that's really nice. No, just kind of accepting at face value. Explorers don't accept things at face value. Explorers are driven by a need to know more, what's beyond just the surface. Maybe when you take a tour, you want to find out about this historical, the historical significance of something that you're seeing. Well, that's taking it to another level, but it's not the same level to which scientists, take their exploration. They really get into it, so there's a difference between sort of the superficialities of tourism versus the deeper penetration of something in terms of science. Let's see. Oh, here we go. He says, the next quote, what I cannot create, I do not understand. Which, I don't know, it tells me that, what you're doing is you're creating a literature review. And so in the creation, okay, before you picked your topic, you might have had some vague understanding of it. You might have experienced something. You might have had some superficial knowledge. But until you went through this process of the lit review, you really didn't understand the topic as well as you do now. And that's pretty much what, your job is getting me and getting the faculty members who review your Part A and your dissertation committee to understand what it is that you understand. So your creation of the lit review is helping your own understanding, but it's also helping everyone else's understanding. Okay, so to understand, you must create. And that's the same thing with this when you do your dissertation study. It's the same thing. You don't understand the phenomenon necessarily, but when you create the study, when you embark on the study, you will understand. Okay. I like this is one of my favorite quotes. I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers which can't be questioned. So like I say, this ties into this idea of doubt. you come up with an answer, and you conduct a study and you come up with answers. Well, you question those, you have doubt about the validity of those answers, which continues to drives you on to more and deeper levels of research and other avenues of research. So, like, it goes back to this idea that you're not, you can't be certain about, you're not certain about things. You can be 99.9% certain about things, but that's not 100%. Okay. So you also, no matter what you find in research, you're going to question. You're going to question, how truthful your answers are to your research questions. And that's the nature of science, hence it's the nature of social science. Let's see here. Okay. Here, so the last couple of quotes. Nobody ever figures what life is all about, and it doesn't matter. Explore the world. Nearly everything is really interesting if you go into it deeply enough. All right, so this is why, this goes back to this idea of your scholarly area of expertise. So we're talking about, this quote talks directly about expertise. Okay, so what you're writing now what you're writing about now in your lit review is your likely area of scholarly expertise. And so you're going to become this is your area. This is what you're going to be known for. Okay. This is what you're going to explore. And so that's why I asked at the beginning, I said, are you, beginning of this, is this a topic that you can live with for a number of years, right? That's important. That's why this is exactly why I asked you that question, is because, you need to be interested enough that you're going to explore it to a sufficiently deep level. Okay. All right. Let's see, last quote. And this is because this goes back to sort of why we do what it is that we do. Our responsibility is to do what we can, learn what we can, improve the solutions, and pass those on. So, this is where when you're doing your study, you're looking right now, you're looking for the gaps in the research, right? The literature points you in that direction. So you find those gaps, and then when you do your own study, you fill those gaps. You're improving the solutions that have, the things that have been talked about. You've talked about in your lit review, the findings, solutions, what have you. Okay, your job is then to improve upon, in your study, is to improve upon what you have found. And then, so by doing a dissertation, okay, you're going to pass along your findings, your solutions, and someone else will build on what you've done. Okay, so these are important. I think these quotes are relevant to where you are right now in your academic journey. And I couldn't think of a better role model than Richard Feynman. He's one of my scientific heroes. My background is biology, but in biology, my heroes is E.O. Wilson and Stephen Jay Gould. But my heroes are E.O. Wilson and Stephen Jay Gould. But I have if you like science like I do, then physics is kind of a natural draw. And you can look at Niels Bohr, you can look at, there's hundreds of physicists out there, but I don't think anyone is more interesting than Richard Feynman. So he is a hero to me. And so the last thing here, the last slide. Okay, week 14 assignment. Keep working and making progress on your literature review. Look at this, look how bold it is. It's in big type. Set aside at least an hour per day, ideally at the same time and in the same place, to craft your literature review. So hopefully, yeah, there we go. So hopefully when I go back and look at this video, hopefully everything came through accordingly. If the video didn't work, then at least you have the PowerPoint, you can click it on yourself. But I think going through the quotes, that was really my main objective with today's video. So anyway, good luck with this week. Really buckle down, get, focus in on that, on the last work that you need to be doing to kind of pull this all together, get it in the right format. But yeah, so just do that, and you're going to be everything is going to be really hunky-dory on the 17th of December. So, but you've got 3 whole weeks to work on this. There's no other assignments. There's no presentations. There's none of that stuff. I think it was a good idea just to, yeah, I mean, I like the idea of presentations, don't get me wrong, but I thought, well, we just, yeah, I think the lit review is enough. That's the main focus of this course, is a lit review, and so let's just focus on that. All right, so listen, have a great week, everyone, and I hope things go well. Get in touch if you need to get in touch, you want to chat, what have you, but I think everything is, I think we're all moving in the right direction, and that's the important thing. So, all right, folks, take it easy, and I will talk with you all very soon. All right, take care. Bye-bye.